What's up, Detroit?
Welcome here to What's Up Detroit, with yours truly, Mr. Joe Pep Harris. My name is Daisy Love, and we're here with Everything Music in Detroit.
Everything. We're
Everything.
talking about it, but we're promoting you being about it. Today we have some special guests in the house with us that we want to introduce to you. First of all, we have
Miss Cynthia Burton. This is a new and upcoming vocalist in Detroit City. You guys check her out. She does a little bit of everything, jazz, R&B, hip-hop. You rap too?
gospel.
Yes, she does gospel. She does gospel too. Yes, that's right. And so just check her out. She's also a student at DIME, the new school for performers and musicians and band directors, everybody. For that, teaches them everything at that school, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
definitely. It definitely allows you to be as open and free with your talent, and what your interest is. So
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And we also have, go ahead, Joe.
On the other end, my partner in crime. We started together back, I ain't gonna say how many years ago, but
lot
we
of
walked
years.
into the same go. The one and only Mr. McKinley Jackson.
Ooh, yeah.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here. Let me just say something about Dine. That's a great school. That's a fantastic
Yes.
school with Jules Schultz and
That's right.
and the guys down there. It's an excellent school, so
Yeah,
you're in good hands.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we try to promote on this show, and relatively we're working with the future.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
represents the future, and the past, that's the rest of us. we just provide the shoulders for them to stand on. In fact, we were talking about it earlier, about all the things that you have the advantage of at the Dime, that the
Yeah.
Dime does for a lot of artists today, that when we were coming up, all we had to do was walk out the house.
Yeah.
Wherever
Yeah.
you went, there was something musically going on, and you got a chance to learn it and be a part of it
Right.
as it was happening. See, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and that's one of the motivations for this show.
Yeah.
We want to create an opportunity for the kids to be able to have the same opportunities that we had at one time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that was one of the things that made Detroit flourish. You need the talent, but you got to have the tools.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, and the Dime, I've been so impressed with Drew Schultz over there at the Dime. In fact, we've tried to get him on the show a couple of times, but he's like working now.
That's
Busy,
right,
busy.
right. He's always doing something.
Yeah, and let him come and
Yeah.
promote his thing. And in fact, in the future, we're talking about bringing some of the other young folks from the Dime over
Dime.
there to talk about
Yeah.
their experiences and be a part of something.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And it's so important for that aspect of the new generation coming in to learn the music, to have the blended history of music. It's like I was just telling you, I'm like, you're sitting next to Motown legends. It's like, I remember when I was your age, I was like, Motown legends. Only people I knew were my uncles, but I had no opportunity at that time to meet anybody. But over the years, of course, I met you, and then I started meeting everybody. And so it teaches you a lot, just knowing people and listening to the stories. It's unbelievable.
That's right.
It used to be so funny to me because I'd be at the casino and I'd see Motown in the audience, and I'm like, I don't need to be on the stage. Y'all need to be up here. Come on, give us some of that good stuff.
And that's important too,
yes.
the history. A lot of young people, well, a lot of them do dig in and find out the history, but it's important when you're doing things to know the backstory of it.
Yeah.
How we got to that place, this place now, because a lot of people are reaping the rewards.
Yes.
But they may not know the real history of the music.
Yeah.
And sometimes they hear something say, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's brand new, but it might be something that we used to do years ago, and that's okay. That's okay. You have to pay it forward. But the thing of it is, a lot of the kids, the best hip hop artists I see are the ones that go back and do the research and study the music to see how it got here, what got to that point, and are clever about taking it and whipping it
Yeah.
around
Twist on
and
it.
putting a different twist
yeah.
on it, But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
important, the history of it.
Yeah.
Very important. And in case a lot of you who out there may not be fully aware of McKinley, his career is very extensive. In fact, we went out to California around the same time. When I went out with Norman Whitfield, you was out there with Holland and Dozier.
With Lamont, I was at
Lamont.
ABC.
Oh, okay. That's
just
when-
Lamont.
okay.
That's when Lamont and I left Brian and Edward.
Okay.
Okay.
and they were suing us for like $1 million.
What?
And if I had $100, I would have put a sign up, a billboard up, being sued for $1 million. Because the point that that's when we went out in '73, as a matter of fact,
Right.
because that's when my son was born in '73. Also, no correlation. I just happened to go up to California. But you know, the thing, Joe, is that you and I, 73 is late in the history of you and I.
Yeah, we were 62.
Yeah, we'll go back to '62 to the Village. And,
That's right.
yeah, I
Me
think
and
the
Eddie
Village.
Sine kind of had a little talk about that last week about the Village. But I mean, and that was one of the things that I was, relating to Daisy when I was talking about the Village. I said because there were so many folks there that were unsung.
Yeah.
That people don't know, and the Village was a place,
A school, too.
It was
It
a
was a
school.
school.
You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
went there, and you was on the stage with great musicians, and had an opportunity to create your whatever. I had just been out of school 3 weeks. I had just graduated from high school, sitting around trying to figure out what I was going to do, and why my mom cut her eyes over and said, you're supposed to be leaving out of here. You're out of school. You can't live here. So Lee Rogers.
Yeah, oh,
Lee
yeah.
Rogers came and got me one night and said, come on, man, put some clothes on. We're going to this club over here on Woodward. I was like, club? I was saying, how am I going to get in? You're going to get in. Come on, don't worry about it.
So you
I
would
went to the Village in July 1962, and I've been doing it ever since then. I have
Wow.
not stopped. I've never done. And like I tell a lot of folks, I don't brag about not having a job. Sometimes this has been a job.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
but,
It can be a job.
You
keeping
don't,
a
you don't
job.
go home and lay down and you don't do 8 hours on this job. It's
Right.
24 hours.
Yes, it is.
Or
Yes, it is.
sometimes months or years. But, mentioning Lee was a great artist and great singer.
artist, yes.
He was like not even the poor man, but they had Jackie Wilson over at Motown and other companies. But Lee Rogers is the first one that took me on the road. He took me out to all these clubs with sawdust on the floor. I mean, people that what do you call them nowadays? We call them they're not strippers, but they were exotic dancers back then.
Yeah.
And they didn't strip. I mean, they did that. They had an act. They
Right.
really had an act. But Lee Rogers, Sad Affair and stuff. That's one of the
Yeah, I want you
nicest
to have
guys.
everything.
I want you to have
Rudy
everything.
Robinson, yeah.
Rudy Robinson.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
Rudy Robinson and Hungry Five.
Hungry Five.
And, I was part of
None of
that.
that.
The Webwood and talking about Joe Pep over here, Joe Harris. People don't really, they know you from the Undisputed Truth, and the people in Detroit and in the immediate area know you from the Peps, and probably nationally too.
Yeah.
But they don't know all the things that you've been involved with, like the Ohio Players. What was the girl name that had the Simpsons came out of? See,
So many things you can't remember.
I can sing a song, but I can't remember.
they had the cartoon characters when they first started coming on TV.
The Simpsons. Tracy Ullman.
Tracy
Oh,
Ullman.
Tracy
You got an
Ullman.
Emmy for that.
Yeah, you got
Okay.
Emmy for that, and because you and George Clinton,
Clinton, yeah.
they don't realize the history you have with them.
Yes.
And
P-Funk.
Yeah. P-Funk,
Yeah.
For 10 years, we did the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
We were, George was rolling then. I remember when we were in Long Beach, I was coming back to Detroit. This was after Warner Brothers shut us down. And I caught a concert, me and my partner, Trey Stone, caught a concert at Long Beach with George, and George said, man, you got to come to Detroit. Yeah, I heard Norman shut down. You got to come to Detroit. I got
Oh, wow.
another shot.
Yeah.
So me and Trey, we were coming to Detroit anyway because Don Davis had already asked me to come. So I said, okay, well, I'll see you there. So that was one of the things, because I had told George that I was coming back to Detroit to work at United. And I did not know at that time that George was not working at United, because that was where they 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 was thriving in United.
Yeah.
So when I got back to Detroit, Will Davis, Don's brother, was saying, I see you doing some stuff with George over there at this other studio. He said, yeah, tell George, I know he got a bill over here, but if he can pay on it, he can come on back in here and work. And George said, and the rest of it was history.
Yeah.
I did 10 years over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
From Norman Whitfield and Whitfield Records to back to Don Davis, where I started.
Yeah.
I started at Thelma Records with Don Davis.
Miss Coleman.
2 months
Mr. Coleman.
after Norman, maybe about 6 or 7 months after Norman had left Thelma's.
From
He was
Thelma's.
working Thelma's and Motown
Yeah.
at the
Oh,
same
wow.
time.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got to
Double hustle.
Motown, that's my phone. It's off in the other room. But when I got to Motown, you know, he was over there, so it went around full circle. So
Wow.
that was some kind of a trip, just to coming back to Detroit,
Yeah.
to work at United Sound and all the history and the stuff that we did over there. I mean, I couldn't change it for the world.
Wow. But that was your destiny.
That
You were
destiny.
destined to do it. So because it kept coming around to you. So you were supposed to do that.
Supposed to do
It's like
that.
you're supposed to be right here now teaching other folks.
Always have done it.
Yes.
You and I both. You know,
Right.
yeah,
That's
we
awesome.
used to run into each other in Hollywood all the time.
They go Detroit. They go Detroit.
oh yeah. Well, and Joe, a lot of people don't realize too. Remember the Webwood Inn? Joe was quite a star, quite a magnet for women back then.
But we got magnets.
Listen, and you can attest to this. When I first got with the Peps, I wanted to sing with Tommy Stone.
Yeah.
You was on the
Oh, yeah.
stage with
It
your
was-
brother Butch
Yeah.
and myself. And Pretty Boy, we were backing up Tommy Stone.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
right.
Tommy Stone was a magnet.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we used to say,
yeah.
all the women
It
are
was
just
watching.
jumping over Tommy Stone. I said,
Yeah.
well, you can't get them all. I just want to be on the
I'm just
stage.
gonna
to
catch the
sing
ones
with
that
them.
come out.
And that's actually the origin of the Peps. Was the fact of the matter is Tommy Stone was singing, and then Joe started singing. Well, Mitch Ryder, whose name was Billy Lee then.
William Levine.
Started singing with Tommy.
With us, yeah.
And then Joe was singing with Tommy, and then Ronnie came.
Ronnie came from the service.
And so it's four of them actually with Billy, and then naturally the three kept going
Okay.
with the Peps. And but was that before D-Town?
No, this was because Richard Street and the Distance were there. When we first started singing at Thelma's, we were all individual artists. In fact, when we first started doing the Peps, everything that we did in the studio with me, Tommy, and Richard and Ronnie were behind Emmanuel Lasky, Jimmy Guilford, everybody that sang over. And in fact, one day we did a session. I can't remember who the female artist was, and we came out of there, and Miss Coleman said, "Wow, this sounds like Gladys Knight and the Peps." And Richard Street said, "No, it may be Gladys Knight, but we the Peps." And he was referring to what he used to see us do at the Village.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
he said,
wow.
"The Peps, I'm part of the Peps."
Yeah.
You know, and
Is that how the name became?
that's Richard Street came up with the name.
I
Oh,
didn't know
wow.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
Richard
Okay.
Street. So I mean, it's a lot of things. In fact, we were talking earlier here about the things that we've been involved in, and some of the folks that we've worked with. And when I got to California, I came back to California from Detroit, and I went straight in the studio with McKinley, who was doing Bloodstone.
Oh, wow.
That's right. That's right.
Right,
That's
he
right.
was
yeah.
doing Bloodstone, the Isley Brothers,
Yes,
and quite a few other folks back then. And most of the folks that was working with him was doing stuff with Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
the musicians.
Yeah,
The musicians,
Yeah.
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 So I walked into that and got plugged in.
In fact, that was a good time in L.A. then. It was a good time, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think I had a chance to work with, like you mentioned, the Isleys, Jose Feliciano, and on the other side, Norman Connors, Phyllis Hyman, Gene Carn,
Jones Girls?
Jones Girls. Well, I
Girls,
was the
yeah.
manager of Jones
Right,
Girls,
okay,
and I
right,
brought
right.
them to California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then there was on the other side of the coin, Norman Connor was Pharoah Sanders.
Pharoah Sanders, right.
Completely different. And the trumpet player that passed Blue Mitchell.
Blue Mitchell.
Blue Mitchell. Oh yeah. So it was one thing about California. It's so diverse. There's so
Yeah.
much work,
Yeah.
and it's so diverse that you had to kind of have your game together to be able to step out of one hat into the other one, as far as musically, the
Yes.
genres. But Yeah, but Joe and I, through the course of the years, have always locked up some kind of way because I'm trying to think. Remember D-Town?
D-Town is where we started.
That's
doing
where we
really-
started.
Right.
Re-
From the village to
really
D-Town.
Yeah, village to D-Town.
Right.
And you know, D-Town was where I studied. That building was the Music Settlement School. That's where I studied, and that's where the Detroit Symphony Orchestra teachers donated their talents to quote-unquote underprivileged kids.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I was one of them.
Okay.
And and I used to cut the grass and pick the weeds for 50 cents an hour there for my lessons for many
Wow.
years. But we had excellent teachers there. And matter of fact, Mr. Arthur LeBrew, who's passed, was my theory and harmony teacher,
Yeah.
and Mr. Elmer James from the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, my trombone teacher. So that building meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because it became D-Town later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we spent many days and nights. in there.
Rudy and Cody Black.
Cody Black.
uh,
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Al Hughes.
Al Hughes, yeah.
What's her name? She reminds me of Juanetta Davis. I can't think of the young lady's name that was a part of that with us.
What's the one name that Mary Floyd Jones? What was that?
I'm not the only
It's a lot of people. It's all right.
That's the first thing to go. At least one or two.
big cane. I'm gonna get a big cane and cut it and give you half of it. We can walk on them together.
Well, Cynthia, really quick before because she's going to get out of here at on the half hour, right? So now, what is it that you're doing? What are you studying at Dime?
So right now I'm in the vocal program, and it's basically, it has us learning, kind of starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Honestly. So we audition, we have to go through the audition process, and everyone gets accepted. And it's a thing where they're tailoring it to your specific artistry and to what your thing is. You know, so if you're a singer, whatever kind of singer you are, you know, it doesn't matter. Right now we're focusing on piano right now, the technique aspect of it. We actually, and this is my favorite part, we actually get a song at the beginning of the week, and we have to perform it with the full band at the end of the week. So it is starting to teach us how to work, you know, with a band now. So when we have our own bands and we have to be the MD, you know, we can, you know, we have that experience with
Right.
it. And luckily, Mom, like she got me involved with our church choir, and I see her, you know, being the music director of the music team. And I have some experience, you know, just by watching her and just really being inspired by you to just, you know, do my thing.
That's great.
Yeah, but see, I think Dime is a great place to be able to learn that because they teach you all the correct things first. So you don't have to learn them like, you know, fall on your face a couple
Yeah.
times like some of us do when we first start. And I'm just so happy that opportunity is there for you and so many young people now.
Yeah.
Not that it was never there, it's just that now it's more available
Right.
to a lot of young people to be able to get
Right.
that
And-
experience.
And a lot of folks are becoming more and more aware. Last year, I did a thing. I sat at a panel for Paul Reiser, who couldn't make it. So that, I mean, this was the very first time that I had been over. We'd been at the Dime quite a few times.
Yeah.
It was just wide open downtown.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now I went to Wayne State, and they were having their sing-offs and performances. So we were judging the artists, and I had such a hard time because I was a young artist, you know, and I don't judge them by what I have known and learned. I
Right.
see what they're doing at that particular time
And the potential.
and
Yeah.
the potential, but it's always about the personality. And I watched the personalities of all those little guys and girls who were singing and performing. And one little guy just stuck out. And then when I started doing some stuff with Drew this year, there he was again.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, and
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
ready to do. He's ready to do
Yeah.
TV. I told him I'm going to introduce him to my daughter.
Okay.
And get him on some
Nice,
films.
nice. Okay. Yeah. But that's I'm just glad that you're in the school. That's all I can say, because as parents, we try to encourage our children to go into things that they love. And I know I was kind of stubborn about going to school. I went, but just because I felt like I had to go, but music was always the thing for me. It's like,
She's got to step up. She's got you,
Hey.
and dime.
so come on now, the shoes get bigger.
She's got a dime and a quarter.
See, I only wear a 6, but
50,
now
50 cent actually.
your shoes is a size 12, so you got to walk in those size 12 shoes. Big footsteps to follow. So and I'm just really, really happy that you're doing something that you love to do, and I encourage all young people to follow your dream and stick with it, so that you can have a legacy of music to leave your children.
Right. I get
You
so
know.
impressed when I see you on the church program on Sunday, and she's like the lead singer all the time. Bang, bang. I was like, you know what? This is how it starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's a labor of love. And when you love it, the music doesn't matter. You're the musicer. You're the person that's transforming whatever the genre is,
Yeah.
so that folks
Yes.
can feel it. And every time I see her on stage, I can see that she's into what she's doing.
Yes,
And
yes.
that means a lot. But then I know who her mom is.
Yeah.
We
Right.
talked about her mom a little more. We haven't talked about your co-host enough. But
I'm just, I'm just regular old regular. But I love to encourage. I
Tell
love
the
to
truth,
encourage
tell the
people to
truth.
do what they love to do.
Well, let me-
That's when I get the best of who the people are.
Let me put a little stamp on
history
that.
behind that.
When I first Robert Lowe.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting in my house in Detroit and looking at everybody from California on Facebook, and Robert Lowe asked me to befriend him. I befriend him, and at that time I didn't really conversate over the.
But you knew Robert, right?
Oh, he played. He played.
Yeah, well, one of the first gigs he
Yeah,
had
well,
was with me with the Brown Bunny on Davidson and Curtis Sharp on
Right.
drums.
Right.
this
I've
is-
always had a lot of respect for him.
And Danny used to come down and sing,
He
and that's
was.
when I got with Danny that eventually led to the chairman of the board.
Right.
But I'm sorry.
No. All that's relevant. All of it's
Yeah,
relevant.
Robert was like a young Wes Montgomery back
That's
then.
right.
He was a teenager, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he came online and he said, well, "Hey, Mr. Harris, call him Mr. Harris. I'm the boss no more." And he was like, "He said, well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, man, I'm. At that time I was fighting cancer, but I was coming out. I was going into remission." And I said, "Well, you know what?" He said, "You still singing?" I said, "Well, I'm thinking about putting a group together. In fact, I'm looking." And he said, "Well, I got this young lady that works with me sometime, and you need to give her a look." I said, "Okay, you can send me something with a voice on it." And what he did was he asked me for my phone number to give to her, and she called me, Jackie G, who sings with me now. And she sent me some music for us, and I was like, she sound pretty good. And then her conversation was so pleasant, and that's so unusual. I was coming from a situation where we was replacing a lot of folks, so it was
wow.
a lot of tension, and you never really got an opportunity to know people.
Right.
So I'm learning her from the beginning, and then when we did some things together, in fact, she came out to California, went in the studio with Trey and myself, and we worked on some stuff, and I was like, Trey, I might be able to do something if we can get another girl to go with it. So when I came back to Detroit, and I asked Jackie, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to let her pick somebody. Find me somebody that you know what we're trying to do, and let's try to make it go from there. Because she was asking me how was the group going to be composed. I said, if I do this group again, it's going to be like it was original. So she gave me Daisy's name, told me she was singing with this group that was playing at the Motor City. So I went in there a couple of times and sat there in the back, and I was like, she in this band, but she's singing everything. I was like, she got a big band, and it's always packed, and she went from Prince to whoever, Jill Scott, all that stuff. I was like, that's what I need. And we did, the first gig we did was the
Oh yeah, he took me right from the
TV
casino to TV. I was like, Joe, I'm not ready for that.
PBS show. We went to the PBS show. Put the thing together. And
That's
went
when you met Uncle Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a little bitty girl, and then when I used to come by the house and rehearse, she'd say,
Hey,
"Oh,
Bob.
hi, Bob."
Hey, Bob.
Like, where's Bob?
Oh, Bob, was you?
Yeah, I don't know why I call him Bob. I
With the
always
days
call him Bob.
yesterday, your daughter calling me
Bob.
I was like, Joel, I don't know anybody who's Bob is. But I guess she thinks that name fits. Just 3 letters. Right, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, wow. When Daisy got in the group, when I first found out who she was, C.P. Spencer's niece, Leon Ware.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, so I was like, oh, well, no question.
Yeah,
You know, she walked right into it, and, you know, it's 10, almost 12 years.
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah,
so-
almost 12
It's
years.
almost 12
But
years.
it's been fun. It's been so much fun, you
Yeah.
know. And I love the process of starting over. That's probably not a good thing, but I do because I start over a lot.
Yeah.
But I like the process of starting over
But
and
you're
then
growing. You're growing
Yeah.
too each time.
and then
Yeah.
having that
Yeah, sure.
experience because you get to create something with new people that have been doing it and that has a respect for it.
Yeah.
The difference is working with people that respect what you're supposed to bring to the scene of music.
And Leon Ware came to you?
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
grandmother's
That's-
baby brother.
That's one of the phenomenal writers of our
Yeah.
time that's much,
Yes.
much unsung because
Yes.
a lot of people don't know that I Want You album
Yeah.
was his album.
Yes, it
That he wrote.
was.
Marvin
And,
tested
and,
That's
well,
right.
Marvin, the company told, my understanding, the company told Leon, listen, you can put that out, make a couple 100,000, or you can let Marvin have it and make a couple of million.
Yes.
Leon gave it to
Yeah.
him, and but Leon. But not only that, If I Ever Lose This Heaven for Quincy.
Yeah, yeah, Minnie Riperton.
Minnie
Yeah, Minnie Riperton,
Inside My Love, yes.
And I knew his wife Cassandra when he married too, because
Okay.
I don't know later, but I knew Cassandra before they got married. She was very talented and supportive
Yeah,
back then
yeah.
in the publishing field. But Leon Ware and Spencer too. Spencer's one of
Yeah,
the best
Uncle Tinny, yes.
around. Yeah,
Highly
yeah.
respected.
Yeah.
But he was so quiet at home. You know what I'm saying? And that's because of the background. Because
Right.
my grandmother, which is his mom, they all played in church. You know, we grew up. And this is a bomb I'm about to drop right here. Because our cousins, we all grew up in church playing, and all of our family, both sides, on the fathers, mothers, were all into music. One family went into gospel, and they became the Winans.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they became the Winans. And then Uncle Tinny went off into this and, you know, into secular music. And our family being spiritually background and sanctified Baptist, either you was going to sing gospel, you was going to sing for the Lord, or you was going to sing, as they called it, for the devil. And so half of us went to sing for the devil. But the deal is that whatever it is that you brought to it is what you brought to it. And now we have great gospel vocalists in our family, but we have a lot of R&B and new school R&B, hip hop,
You got a rich
rap.
history.
Yes,
Both
of
the two
music.
you. Yeah,
So I was like,
sure.
I better do something with music, you know. And I said, even if I don't do anything but host a show and talk about it, I got to do it
We're
because
doing more than that.
we got to keep the legacy
sure.
going. And
For
it's
sure.
again, like I said, so many people you meet, you have no idea what the history is. You know, I talked last week about the Detroit Walk of Fame because
Right,
I
yeah.
really do believe we should have one in Detroit.
Right, yeah.
You know, one with people like McKinley Jackson on there and Joe Pep Harris on there. You know, all these great people that created what we're living off of today and what we're using to create new music for the new generation. So I'm just,
I agree.
Yeah, we
sure.
were talking about that, and
Completely.
Henry Tyler happened to be standing there, and we said, you know what, Highland Park is going to be a gym. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be, I see Highland Park as being a place where I would want to live.
yeah.
You know, it's I've lived so many different places, and even going to Cleveland. We used to go to Leo's and all.
Oh,
this. You go
Leo's
to
Casino,
Cleveland now,
yeah.
you just look around. I mean, when I came to Detroit, I mean, I was I was just too outdone.
Yeah.
But I also know that when they redo stuff, it's not going to resemble anything that we are used to.
Yeah.
But I know Highland Park has some kind of a hard stamp on it that constantly moves like the turtle, but it grows.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people talk about the reinvention of Detroit now and get on the bandwagon, but Joe has been talking about this for years.
Yes.
He used to call me from California and we're trying to reimagine downtown being this and having this and shooting that idea to Barry Gordy and to various people in California before he even came back. So I'm just saying, Joe was ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
terms of what a lot of people are talking about now and happening. It's coming to pass now.
Yes,
But I just wanted to mention.
Well, one of the reasons, Mac, is because back then, and when I was with the Peps, we worked all the theater circuits with all the top artists, and we was always the group from Detroit. We was never the Motown group. Motown was huge at that time, but we was always the group from Detroit that they related. Y'all not with Motown? No, we're not with. But when we said we were with them, a lot of folks knew that was Barry's first wife, so that was
Okay.
that was a connection.
Yeah.
But everywhere we went, we promoted Detroit.
Detroit.
And when we moved to California, D-Town,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Detroit
yeah.
town.
when we moved to California, it was not my town. I mean, I embraced it,
Sure.
but I mean, I knew what Detroit. I sang probably with one of the last tours Jackie Wilson did with the Peps. We opened for Jackie Wilson.
Wow.
At those last years when he
Yeah.
used to come on the stage and most of his show was on the floor,
Floor.
with women holding all
Yeah.
auditorium. And we had to come back. We couldn't even change clothes because
Yeah.
they bring Jackie on
Yeah.
the stage. We got to go out there and sing.
Hey,
do
Joe, so did I. I was with the chairman of the board, and we used to be in prop planes getting to places where Jackie was. And it was my first time working with Jackie, and that was in the later part of his career, and he was
Right, yeah.
into that thing. But, yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago. Yeah, for sure.
When I
Yeah.
was with the Peps, now Jackie Wilson, folks don't really understand. I mean, they really
significance
don't
of it.
understand
His
how
contribution.
his talent.
Yeah.
I mean, those doors. I mean, how many Jackie Wilsons have you seen that at that time they
Yeah.
were singing Jackie, trying to be Jackie Wilson?
Jack-
Lee Rogers.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Lee
Yeah.
Rogers had his own identity,
Yeah.
but he morphed over into Jackie a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jackie could sing. I mean, when he sang, then he could have been an opera singer.
wow.
Operatic. Jackie Wilson, he used to be a boxer. So when you look at Michael Jackson, you're looking at Jackie Wilson.
Jackie Wilson.
Oh, wow,
When
yes,
you look at
yes.
Elvis Presley.
Yes.
You're looking at
Yeah,
Jackie
you can see
Wilson.
that.
That's
Yeah. You can
Mr.
see that.
Entertainment,
Yeah.
Mr. Excitement
Yeah.
back there. And he was the best at it. I mean, we had a lot of people, Chuck Jackson, blah, blah,
Chuck
blah,
Jackson.
but Jackie Wilson.
See now when I'm trying to think of the guy's name that put us on the tour with
Don Roby.
not Don Roby, Brack brother. I can't think of his name right now. In fact, he moved to California. I can't think of his name right now because these names come in quickly. But when we got with Jackie Wilson, the first thing he came in, he used to see us when we used to be at the Apollo, but he never went to the Apollo to catch a show. And every time we went to New York, we stayed at the Brevoort.
Okay.
And Jackie Wilson lived in there most of the time.
Oh,
Come
wow.
up into our room, his door be open. Okay. But when we got to, we went to Cincinnati, and we were working in Covington, Kentucky, right across the bridge or something over there with Jackie. He said, well, now I know y'all got a reputation. He said, but we ain't going to compete. He said, so, he said, my show going to be what it is. He said,
Yeah.
and you guys shine. He said, that's all you got to do is shine. He said, but it's going to be a little different. My show going to be interrupted, and I want y'all back on the stage while I change clothes and fix my hair and all that
okay.
kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because, I mean, most of his show was playing. It was for the ladies only.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And Jackie Wilson would sometimes he'd pretend like he was over drinking and stuff, but that was part of his show.
Yeah.
And
Until it
every
wasn't.
night.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, okay.
How we go through the
Yeah, good changes.
through
Yeah,
the
for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what makes you strong when you come
Yeah.
through those changes.
But
know?
to stand
Yeah.
off stage and watch him perform, I mean, I just used to just drop my head.
Yeah.
And I just,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of those
Unlike
guys
him.
back then, Chuck Jackson, Bobby Blue Bland,
Bobby Blue Bland.
dipping, because at Phelps, you used to see them
That's
at
right.
Phelps, Tommy
Tommy Hunt.
Tommy Hunt,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Jeremiah Huckabee. He used to come on stage with Jeremiah Huckabee like on a chain, like he was a monkey or something. You know? That was his MC. I mean, I was really young, and I was sneaking in the
Wow.
clubs.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Phelps used to be called Berserdes. Before Rudy and them, before Norman Whitfield and the Funk Brothers working there, I used to be in the alley because I lived down the street.
Okay, right.
I used to be in the alley with my trombone trying to play along with them.
Wow, wow.
Matter of fact, when I got to be 18, I walked in there from school and had a gold jacket or something on. And I said, give me a beer. I didn't even drink. They said, you don't get out of here. I may not have been 18, 15 or so, but they knew me from night, but not in the daytime.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's a lot of people back then.
Yeah. Well, I got to take one small break because we got to let Miss Cindy go because she's got school. She's got to go back to the dime.
Okay.
So we're gonna let Cynthia go ahead and do her thing on What's Up Detroit,
That's
and we're gonna take a very, very small break, but we're gonna come right back and continue talking to the one and only McKinley Jackson.
Okay, what's up, Detroit? We're right back here now with Mr. McKinley Jackson, Daisy Love,
Yes.
myself, Joe Pep Harris. We're talking about the past, the future, and today.
Yes.
And McKinley, you said you have a grandson who has a new record out, who's released a new record.
That's correct. That's correct. His name is Nason.
Nason.
Nassan, and that's my
Okay.
son's son.
Okay.
Oh wow.
My grandson.
Your son, who was, of course, named Proof.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of him to see he's still going in that direction.
The music still goes on.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to play basketball. He's quite tall.
Wow.
And he's good. He's good.
Okay.
I mean, not just because he's my grandson,
Right.
but so he's kind of coming more and more away from the underground. Well, Eminem is involved with him.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's involved with that group.
Right,
So look for him. Look for him. I expect great things from him.
What's his name again?
Nason.
Nason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nassan.
He's on YouTube.
Yeah, he's out there.
Check
yeah.
him out. Check
Okay.
him out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
From this musical dynasty that's been started by Mr. Jackson here, and I'm so happy to have been a part of it because I know that, and along with Daisy's uncle, I mean you and C.P. Spencer. Purvis Jackson,
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Kendricks,
Yeah.
David Ruffin, all those folks were really good friends of mine. I mean,
Yeah.
those were the folks that when we went out on the road that we could talk to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Speaking of road, I used to be with the Motown band, Choker Campbell.
Okay.
So we used to be on the Motown Review.
right.
Teddy Powell.
Teddy Powell?
Yeah, was the promoter.
Okay.
And so we used to travel the whole states, and we used to be down south. Matter of fact, the Temptations have that play on Broadway now, Ain't You Proud? And I'm not sure if they cover this aspect of it, but we used to be on the road with all of them. Everybody was on the bus except the Supremes and maybe Marvin, who had a little stage fright, and they would keep the spinners back sometime to support him. But you mentioned Stevie, Willie Tyler, and Lester.
Wow.
You mentioned Bill Murray. You mentioned the Bendellas, the Marvelettes, well, everybody. The
Lionhead
Spinners, the Temptations, the Four Tops.
Yes.
All of us was on the road. So once we were down south, and they used to give us the food that had the grit and grind and then the stuff off the. So we had to get people to go in and get food and stuff. And once we were on the road and riding down the road, and the truck pulled up with these 4 or 5 Caucasians in it, I'll just say. And they had rifles and stuff pointing at us. And man, about 10 windows came up and about
wow.
20 guns come out the window from the Motown bus. 'Cause you talking about
Wow.
the Four Tops,
Right.
Temptation and stuff. These guys
Got
took
tools.
us. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it took off. But I mean, those were the days
Wow.
when,
Right.
like you're talking about a school. That was actually a school on wheels.
That's right,
Because-
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
because the Choker Campbell's big band was on there too. So even myself, I used to sit in the back of the bus, and they would tell me or teach me different things about orchestrating. Not that I didn't understand then. I understood So, but I hadn't practiced. I
The
hadn't
theory.
practiced in theory, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
But later I saw exactly. Oh, that's what they meant. It might have been 10 years later. But
I'm
Wow.
still saying that for some things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess you found a lot of things out too when you produced this new album.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had to, and I've seen you and the producer. I had to go into some Norman Whitfield thinking,
Yeah.
because I know that whatever he did with me, I had to be able to be able to bring what I had to bring.
Duplicate that.
Yeah.
Because I had a hard time at first, and I know because the first producers that I had were musicians. Mike Hanks was
yeah.
a singer,
Yeah.
but he played
Played
around.
piano,
But
yeah.
Mike Hanks was one of those kind of singers. He can give you the melodies and tell you what to do, but he wanted you to be you.
Yeah.
You know, so I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't know who I was. You know, at that time, Mac, I was singing like anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got with Norman Whitfield, he, by seeing me with the Peps and Nightlighters and all those folks in and out of the 20 grand, he would, when we were doing Smiling Faces, the very first song that I did at Motown was Save My Love for a Rainy Day, which was supposed to have been Marvin's next release.
Oh, wow.
I took
Okay.
that song, Norman, and put it on the Undisputed Truth. That was our first single. But the next major song that we did was Smiling Faces. And I hadn't a clue, because I mean, he'd ask me, you heard anything that you like? I said, well, you know, Temptations got a song on their album that sounds pretty good. And I was really infatuated with the drum, with the horns and the string parts, and dun, 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 and I knew Smiling Faces. You know, Eddie Kendricks was singing.
Yeah.
Norman said, well, he told me one day, he said, I cut that. He said, now, we're going to start vocalizing it this week. He said, but I don't want you listening to Eddie. And I was like, what am I going to listen to? You know, so I went and listened to Eddie. So I go in the studio and start singing Eddie Kendricks with a low voice. He said, man, I asked you not to do that. He didn't say it like that, but he said it in his normal Whitfield voice. And took me 3.5 hours to get Smiling Faces, the
Oh,
very
wow.
first 2 words in the song.
Yeah.
I mean, and the girls were sitting back there, and
He's like, what do you
beat
get
up. You know, but Norman didn't quit on me. But then
Yeah.
after we did that first line, he went straight to the last verse, and I had to sing it backwards. You know, go to the last verse and sing that, get the Eddie Kendricks out, because you know you got to flow when you get started.
Wow.
So he said, "Give me some Jerry Butler." So I was kind of smiling.
He's like, oh, that's easy.
I could do that. So
Yeah.
I mean, so I automatically knew what kind of a vein to tell this story in.
Yeah.
So I used a little bit of the creepiness that Eddie Kendricks smiling, like he was creeping up on you. Norman said, "That's what I want." So I did it with smiling with Jerry Butler going on it. So that worked, and I got a gist of how I could be a little bit more productive with a great producer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then also one of the things that gave me some confidence is I went into the studio one night with Norman when he was doing, well, twice. Once he was doing Paul Williams, Running Away, sure ain't gonna help you. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
And I saw the Temps. They were having the same problems I was having. I mean, as a lead singer, you know, people didn't just automatically go in there and get
Yeah,
it.
and nail
I
it.
saw Gladys; she was just going straight through it. I
Yeah.
was like, Lord have mercy. But I mean, then you know, I had seen Gladys coming up.
Yeah.
You know, so she had formula, everything already. You know, so she just
Yeah.
gave him some Gladys.
Yeah.
Right.
And Norman would always say, "I got David Ruffin, Eddie Kendricks, Marvin Gaye, and Gladys Knight that I'm producing." He said, "But I don't have to do nothing with Gladys.
Yeah.
But just go let her go in there
And be Gladys.
and be Gladys." You know, he said, because I said, well, who was the easiest? He said, it ain't easy. He said, but Gladys automatically give you what the song is asking for, you know, in her
Yeah, she knows how to tell a
delivery.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she can interpret songs.
Interpret
Great,
Yes.
great, great singers
Yeah.
can interpret songs.
Interpret the song.
That's the
You know,
difference.
and see, you
Creative.
had a group. The Jones Girls were,
Oh,
were like
yes.
that. When I heard them girls
Yes.
singing "Nights Over Egypt,"
Oh,
Next
yeah,
Wednesday,
yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Whoa, I
Yeah.
know.
See, we
I
were
know.
mimicking those girls. We were mimicking the Jones
Yeah,
girls.
and when before I got with Motown, one of the they've been around a long time. The Jones Girls.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Since they were,
Since they was back their mother up on the gospel program.
That's
Oh,
right.
wow. Okay.
That's
No, I
right.
didn't know that.
yeah, because my
Mary Frazier Jones. Was
Okay.
her mother. Yeah.
Wow.
Gospel singer, great gospel singer.
yeah, they was. I mean, before I got out of high school, so
Yeah.
I mean, they was around a long time. So I, I was galloping, trying to play catch up.
Wow.
So, but I mean, now, not about me, but what I was trying to get to was Holland Dozier. When you were working with Holland Dozier, what were some of the things? I mean, I always wanted to. Norman used to talk about Eddie and Brian all
Yeah,
the time,
yeah.
and he'd say that's where he really got his break.
I was thinking when you were talking about Gladys, one thing about it, if you take a Holland Dozier and a Holland record, Supremes record, and slow it down, it sounds like Edward Holland. If you take a Four Tops record and speed it up, it sounds like Eddie Holland. Well,
Oh, wow.
upon it, because they were representing, Edward would give them every line to sing.
Wow.
So they developed their personalities as
Right.
opposed to Gladys, who had her
Wow.
own
Right.
personality already. So they would interpret the song. They write the songs for sure. They wrote the song, but they would dub it in. So, like I said again, I stumbled upon this because I was doing arrangements. So a lot of times I wanted to hear certain things, and I would slow the record down so I could hear it. I said, "Damn, Levi sound like." Or Diana sound like Levi. If I speed Levi up, he sound like Diana. Then
Yeah.
later, as I started working with them, we did Frida Payne and Chamboy, Honeycombs, and then I discovered their thing was actually Edward was phrasing, giving them the correct phrasing, so there's right in the pocket,
Yeah.
Right.
So
Ooh, that's crucial
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was before Prince and
Oh.
all those folks. That
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
hear a producer saying something or produce something, you could hear them a Babyface.
Yeah, 'cause
You can hear
Babyface is
them.
the same
But
way.
I mean, excuse me. The very first time that I met Eddie Holland, we were doing record hops together.
You
And
and
this was
Lil
1950s
Joe and,
Morocco's.
Morocco.
And this one night,
How we
one
been?
night,
How we
I was 11, I did 3 different record hops with Berry Gordy and Eddie Holland. So when I got back to school, that's all I talked about. I was with Berry Gordy last. Eddie Holland, he had this record, Jamie, and we hadn't talked nothing about. And I say that because so many years later at Motown.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to divinity, that I find the things that come to be.
Yeah, that's
And he went with a Motown top producers, and I went with another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
enormous.
yeah.
I was telling you earlier, I heard you say when you got out of school, you went straight into the
Village.
recording. Well, I was skipping school
To do it.
and to go to Motown.
Oh, wow.
And my first recording over there was Ooh Baby Baby. And Whitfield, come think of, was directing the floor. Paul Rise was upstairs writing the music. He was writing goose eggs for that song. Goose eggs and whole notes. But and then that was Smokey. And then I used to play on the stuff for Marvin. I never met Marvin. I used to see him at the golf club up on 7 Mile
Right,
Road
yeah.
on the driver range. I was watching. I wasn't driving. I couldn't play, but I would be up there with the Hollands sometimes. And then later years, I was his musical director.
Right.
And it just goes to show you never know how that cycle is going to go.
Yes.
Even with the Temptations. I remember when Cloud 9 and stuff came out.
Right.
We were, because, I'm going to tell you something else. Can I just say this?
Go ahead.
And that's this. The Village, Sly Stone, Motown, and Jimi Hendrix, really changed the culture here in America in terms of the races coming together.
Right.
Because, you know, back when we were going to the village, it was very segregated back then. And the
Oh,
village
wow.
was the only place where you can meet
With whites.
whites, and you know, and some guys took it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Getting caught out
Okay.
of born after dark.
Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
But
Dang.
yeah, but that was you know, those were the places, like they had some jazz houses back then, but Minor Key and
Yes.
and the
Mm-hmm.
places like that. But for the
Yeah,
most
that's-
part, you know, there was no inner mix, and
Yeah.
Village,
Village
like I said
was-
again, Motown naturally, and Jimi Hendrix and Sly, and Whitfield used to be down to the Motown,
Right.
to 20 grand all the
20
time.
grand.
And so when Cloud 9 came out, we told I got to be, the more you listen to it, the more you listen to it.
Yeah.
Norman was a genius, you know.
Yeah.
But I always call him a pool player.
Yeah, he can shoot pool.
He could shoot pool,
Okay.
and he knew the angles. That's how he produced. He knew everything was just where it should be.
Wow.
And, you know, it's just like a pool player, 3 in the side.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
completely.
Great
Wow.
producer.
Great
Wow.
producers.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, and in fact, that when I moved out of my mom's house, I moved into an apartment not too far from my mom's house with Mitch Ryder, Billy Lee.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
he was
okay.
trying to get out of his house up there. You know, so he moved into Detroit. We was back and forth sparingly.
Yeah.
And but I had never had any idea, and I never looked at color.
No, oh no.
You know,
Yeah.
because music changed the whole meaning of life.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you find a chord or connection, and then you live on that.
Yeah.
It's
See,
never something you have to discount. It just doesn't exist, you know,
Right,
in the music,
right.
you know. So
Right.
all that stuff came later, my awareness of it during the 60s and stuff, but I was still coming from a different perspective, you know, more of a reality. That's just what's happening, but I know it was a personal thing with Caucasians or whatever, you know, it wasn't a sellout thing either.
Right,
closer.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
right. Right. Well, that's the way it is now, though.
That's the
'Cause
way it is now.
Music is no color.
that's right.
I remember it was at one point.
Yes, it was.
But it doesn't have a color nowadays.
That's true.
It's just all music and it's all notes.
and but it's still talent.
Yes,
that's
it
right.
is.
That's
You
what it
know,
comes
so when
down
you see the talent, you know, then that's the driving force because everybody has. There's nothing new.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a new way to say it, a new way to transpose it.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when they went to Black Keys, Ray Charles,
Yeah,
turned
yeah,
that,
yeah.
that lock around. You know,
Changed it all
What's
up.
that note? Why you playing that? Oh, no, you up there for?
Yes, yes.
I was thinking, who was that? I was trying to think of just the vocalist, Donny Hathaway.
Donny Hathaway,
Donny
yeah.
Hathaway. He was another
Oh,
one.
wow. Wow.
I thought was a genius.
And folks, like we were talking earlier, Detroit has still had so much talent in this
That's
town.
true.
I just, I can't even imagine what it would be like if they were. I can't imagine if it were back in the day when we were coming up here doing these things. I mean, it'd just be piled on top of what was already there.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing that's missing, as far as it being here in Detroit, is a neighborhood. First of all, we got to have a neighborhood. You know, I mean, we all lived in places that we used to call the hood, but we were everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
now we're so disjointed because in these neighborhoods there's nothing black.
Yeah,
You know, in other
yeah.
words, no black stores, no black community.
right.
So I'm still looking at the fact that we can create it because if we don't, they're gonna. Barry told me about writing a book, and he said if you don't write it, somebody gonna write you in
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
You know, and I'm back in Detroit to say, okay, let's finish writing the history that we started back in because you and I, we was with Mike Hanks. We had
Yes.
no idea we would ever be
Yes.
with Motown.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
The hardcore rival.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so
So you got to write the book, Joe.
got,
You got to write the
Have to
book,
write
and
it.
you guys have to show the new generation how to put together the community.
Right.
And so that's what it's about now.
We collectively
Right.
paid the way and paid the dues.
Dues.
Yes.
And the price for the things that they're able to do now,
That's right.
which is tremendous.
Tremendous.
I mean, the amount of money and the exposure and this
God have mercy.
the hip hop world. I mean, the older I get, the more I respect hip hop in
Yeah.
terms
Oh,
of
yes.
culture, culturally. You know,
Yeah.
some of the music, but
It's good though, because I started rapping first. That was my first thing is rap.
Right, okay.
I mean, it was rap. I used to rap. I won't go into it and break down my Daisy D rap. But that was the first thing, and people used to ask me, is rap going to stay? And I say, yeah, rap is going to be here forever because there's so many mediums you could put rap in.
Well, they was rapping
You know.
first. We were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
yeah.
rapping first. You know?
Yeah.
Come on, go back to the Black Poets.
There it
And
is.
Cassandra, don't pat me on the back and pat me on the back and call me your brother.
Nope. Wow.
Hey, this back, this way back.
Okay.
You know, and they say they give Andre
Williams.
Williams. What was the name?
Bacon Fat.
Bacon Fat.
Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
was down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I see, I see they waving their fingers over
Yes,
there.
that's right.
These hours only go so fast, and we're gonna be kind of winding down now. But we like to thank our guest,
Yes.
Mr. McKinley Jackson, which we're gonna
Yes.
have back. In fact, I may not be here a couple of weeks next month, so
Okay.
we get McKinley to come in and do
Oh,
some
yeah.
co-hosting.
That'd be
with
really,
us.
really nice.
If he's in
Be my
town.
pleasure.
Yeah. Be
My
awesome.
pleasure. Especially with
Yeah, I know.
Daisy.
Hey, yeah, we get some good stuff
You
going
know
on.
how I feel. You know, make it work. You know.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure. And What's Up Detroit? We want to do a little bit more than talk about it. We try to be about it, and we hope that we were very informative to you and and entertaining to
Yes.
you. We're going to be coming back to you next Thursday at 11 to 12. Ms.
Mm-hmm.
Daisy Love, Mr. McKinley Jackson. Don't forget McKinley's grandson, Nason.
Nason.
Nason. That's right. Check them out on
Check
YouTube.
them out on YouTube.
Yes.
You know, Proof Son. So
Yes.
let's support. Oh, one more thing I want to say to Detroit. We got a group in the world spotlight, and we need to support the Detroit Youth Choir.
That's
Oh,
true.
yes.
Very
Yes.
true.
Yes.
We need to support
So
the
proud of
Detroit
them.
Youth Choir
Mm-hmm.
because they represent everything that we have always been
The
about.
best of
That's
Detroit.
right.
Best of
the best of
Detroit.
Detroit.
So
Yes.
let's do that.
Let's do that. And we will see you guys back here next week,
Next week.
Thursday, on What's Up Detroit.
What's
you guys
Up
have a great
Detroit?
day.